Hi guys, in this video, let's talk about midpoint. First, let's define what is midpoint. The location of a midpoint of a line segment with endpoints of the quantity of x sub 1 and y sub 1 and the quantity of x sub 2 and y sub 2 can be solved through this formula. Midpoint is equal to the quantity of x sub 1 plus x sub 2 divide 2, then y sub 1 plus y sub 2 divide 2. Let's have an example. Given the following endpoints of the quantity of 2 and 3 and the quantity of 5 and 7, find the coordinates of the midpoint. So the solution. First, let's substitute the following x sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 1, and y sub 2. So first, x sub 1 is 2, then the x sub 2 is 5, then divide by 2. While in y sub 1 is 3, then y sub 2 is 7, then divide by 2. So we have midpoint is equal to 2 plus 5 is equal to 7 divided by 2. So we have 7 over 2. Then 3 plus 7 is equal to 10. Divide 2. So we have 5. So the midpoint is equal to the quantity of 7 over 2 and 5. This is our graph of the following endpoints. So letter K and L is our endpoints, while letter M is our midpoint. So our endpoints and our midpoint are in the first quadrant. Let's have another example. We have the quantity of -3 and 5 and the quantity of 8 and -1. So our formula is M or midpoint is equal to x sub 1 plus x sub 2 divide 2 and y sub 1 plus y sub 2 divide 2. So first, let's substitute the following x and y values. So we have x sub 1 is -3 and x sub 2 is +8, then divide by 2. Then in y sub 1 is +5, then in y sub 2 is -1, then divide by 2. So we have the quantity of -3 plus 8 divide 2 and 5 plus -1 divide by 2. Then let's solve. We have -3 plus 8 is equal to 5 divide 2. Then 5 plus -1 is equal to +4 divide 2, or our midpoint is equal to the quantity of 5 over 2 and 2. This is the graph of the endpoints of the quantity of -3 and 5 and the quantity of 8 and -1. So the midpoint is the quantity of 5 over 2 and 2. So the midpoint is in the first quadrant, and the endpoints are in the second and fourth quadrant. Another example, we have the quantity of -3 and -3 and the quantity of 1 and 4. So our formula is M or midpoint is equal to x sub 1 plus x sub 2 divide 2, then y sub 1 plus y sub 2 divide 2. So first, let's substitute the following x and y values. So we have x sub 1 is negative 3, then x sub 2 is 1, then divide by 2, then in y sub 1 is negative 3, then y sub 2 is positive 4, then divide by 2. So we have the quantity of negative 3 plus 1 divide 2 and negative 3 plus 4 divide 2. Then let's solve. We have negative 3 plus 1 is equal to negative 2 over 2. Then negative 3 plus 4 is equal to positive 1 over 2. Or the midpoint is the quantity of negative 1 and 1/2. This is the graph of the endpoints of the quantity of negative 3 and negative 3 and the quantity of 1 and 4. So the midpoint is the quantity of negative 1 and 1/2. So the midpoint is in the second quadrant, and the endpoints are in the first and third quadrant.